I know I probably look more like Leonardo instead of Rambo, but it's the best I could do in a short amount of time. So, just saw Rambo Last Blood, which is the 5th movie of the Rambo series. It's called Last Blood. Just came out today. So the first one came back out like 1982. 1, 2, and 3 all came out in the 80s. And the first one, man, it came out swinging. It was called First Blood. And then after the third one came out in like 88 or something like that, right around that time. I know it was before the first Batman movie. It just kind of went away. And then 2008, so 20 years later, Rambo comes out, which is technically the 4th Rambo. But it's self-titled and stuff. And then here we go, 11 years later, and we have Rambo Last Blood, which is the 5th movie. So, no spoilers. So if you're worried about getting any spoilers, it's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna do it. What I will say is, it's very graphic. So, so some of the parts are very intense. There's technology has come a long ways from the 1982 movie. So the whole mentality of the revenge seeking, beating crap people, or beating, well, yeah, I mean, they're crap people, but also beating the crap out of them, can get very intense in a couple scenes in this movie. So if you're the lighthearted on that kind of stuff, or a little bit squeamish or anything like that, I would suggest you to avoid this, because some moments are not afraid to show you what's happening. Let's just put it that way. The overall concept is a typical, revenge seeking person who just goes on a killing spree. Now, and that's not saying anything about the Rambo movies. I mean, that's literally just almost the majority, a very high percentage of all action movies. So, that's what this one is. It's no different than anything else. And so, storyline with it is not its strongest suit. In fact, some of it has to, speed through so much. Like, they try and develop this quick story of feelings and that kind of stuff in such a small amount of time. The movie is an hour and 40 minutes or something like that, and it just wasn't enough time to really like create this whole new storyline of new characters and develop this relationship or whatever to go through this movie. So it was a very quick-paced story, in my opinion, that wasn't executed the best, and then it just kind of, it's just, most action movies just end with just open up the floodgates. Let's just see what happens. So I will say it's not short of anything on that. I mean, if you're wanting to see a gunfight, explosions, all kinds of stuff, there's some knives, or some, as you see in the movie poster, there's a giant arrow, giant bow and arrow and stuff. If that's something you're kind of into, then this does not shy away from any of that. Another thing that I wasn't expecting going into this movie is, I would probably say 25, a third of the movie, 25% to a third of the movie, somewhere in there, you're reading subtitles, which isn't a big deal. Just something I think I probably would have wanted to know going into it, opposed to just seeing it like that. So yeah, there's a lot of it that's in Spanish. So honestly, actually, it might not be subtitles if you're bilingual or speak Spanish or whatever. You could be more than just bilingual, I guess. So yeah, if you speak Spanish, you will be fine. So yeah, there's that little surprise and that kind of stuff. There's not an after credit scene, so don't feel like you need to wait. Although I wasn't expecting one for Rambo, but I stood. I didn't really stand. I sat in my seat. I sat around waiting, so I could tell you guys that you don't need to wait. There's just one other guy and myself who were just like, we're just gonna wait. And we did, and there was nothing. So I do think this will be the last of the Rambo series. So just if it's out of nostalgia, or just like, well, I've seen the other 4, maybe I should see this one. I can definitely see that. That's kind of my mindset on why I saw this one. I will say from the trailers and that kind of stuff, it didn't really look like anything like super exciting or nothing you haven't seen before. And to that point, it wasn't super exciting, or it didn't really show me anything I haven't seen before. I went to see it just to kind of close the chapter of the Rambo series, and because Sylvester Stallone still portrays John Rambo, like that. There's Rocky Balboa and John Rambo. I mean, that's gonna live on for his legacy, and there's no change in that. And I think he's proud of it, and he portrays his character just as like he was in 1982. So that's kind of why I saw it. So I think if you're in that kind of same mindset or whatever, you could easily go do the same thing. It's not anything to write home about though. So if you're kind of on the fence, or you're like, man, is it really worth the money? That's very debatable in my opinion. Because honestly, I would rank this really low. I'm more like probably 2 out of 5. And I hate to say that, it's just, the first Rambo movie is The First Blood is still the best one out of the series. And then honestly, the 4th one, which is crazy because it was however many years later, from 1982 to 2008, my bandana's coming off, guys. My Leonardo Rambo bandana, which is actually a tie. But from anyways, 1982 to 2008, there was 2 movies in between, Rambo 2 and 3, which wasn't a huge fan of those, but Rambo 4 came out, and it's just like, man, holy cow, where has this been? So it's crazy, like, yeah. So I will say Rambo 1, Rambo, which is the 4th one, and then I would put this one as my 3rd favorite, but that's not saying much because I wasn't a huge fan of Rambo 2 or 3. So now that might not be your rating or your order and that kind of stuff, because I do know Rambo 4 had some very mixed reviews, and and I'm sure this movie is going to get a whole lot of backlash because it does portray a story of a soldier who basically suffers from PTSD, and I'm not even going to go into that topic just because that's a whole nother issue that doesn't need to be touched in this video. I'm sure it's going to get brought up or whatever, because that's kind of what helps spark and creates this anxiety, or with John Rambo's character and that kind of stuff. And so if you're even on a little bit on edge on any of that kind of stuff, I wouldn't actually recommend this movie for you. I really just, if it's out of nostalgia, I feel like that's where you're going to kind of want to go see this and that kind of stuff. Outside of that, it's not going to be something that's going to blow your mind or anything like that. If you just want to go see something blow up, then have fun, go at it. If not, it might just be a red box, or wait till it hits the streaming platforms. So this is just my take on the Rambo Last Blood that I just literally walked out. I'm in the parking lot right now. I'm still in my car, see? So, which actually that lighting that kind of looked cooler. Why didn't I do that? The whole video I was giving you bad lighting. I'm sorry, guys. So until next time, here was movie review with me. Hope you enjoyed.